Welcome to the Spiritual Principles Made Practical podcast. Today, I'm going to try to marry a couple of things. One, what I'm inspired to share about for my own growth, because part of my belief is that the best thing that I can do for you, myself, all those I care about, the world, and everybody else, is to work on myself, which means to continually accept in greater detail with greater articulation what's true and align with that, right? Creating greater mind, body, spirit alignment. So marry that with and addressing the questions that people are asking, which um, is to meet people where they're at. So this podcast is an attempt to kind of marry the two. So we'll see how that works. What I'm inspired to share about for my own growth and well-being is when to push, when it's time to say, you know what, I'm going to just plow through this, and when it's time to just say, I'm gonna I'm gonna relax and allow things to unfold as they will. So that's what I'm inspired to share about. The questions that people are asking are, how do you balance, work life and home, right? How do you balance all of that optimally in your life? Because there seems to be endless demands on time. And to me, the common ground in all of that is the idea that when we act on our inspiration, that's the best possible thing we can do for everybody. And so the way that we manage it, so it's a matter of not necessarily trying to uh, micromanage. I'm going to spend this many hours with my family and this many hours at work and this many hours, with my friends and this many hours, working on my own development. It's not so much that as the idea that what we can trust is that acting on inspired thoughts that have emotions tied to them that we want more of in our life, peace and joy and happiness, acting on those thoughts is going to be the absolute best thing we can do for our family, for our self-development, for our health, for our well-being, for our career, for all of the myriad of responsibilities that we have. And nothing convinces like our own experience, right? People believe, some of what they hear, more of what they see, but we believe everything that we experience. And so the admonition here is to take time to meditate on what's the most beneficial and uplifting thing I can do right now. So you ask that question and then listen for what thoughts come into your mind. And then each thought that comes into your mind, you evaluate based on the emotion that's tied to it, right? So that recording these podcasts is like really uplifting for me, right? I mean, there's so many times where it's like, it's the high point in my day. It's like, yeah. So I know that if I could take that exciting energy that I experience, doing this into all the other areas of my life, it's going to all have benefit, right? So much more so. So then the question is like, okay, so is is there at times is there resistance to doing this? Is that something I should push? If there's resistance, should I push through it? Or is that just an inspired activity that's in the flow? And I would have to say that for me, the vast majority of the time, it's inspiration that's uplifting in the flow to go and record another podcast. Now, where the push through part happens is I'll be meditating like I was this morning, like I do every morning, have for more than 40 years. And okay, you need to record a podcast today. All right, okay, cool. And the title is, and then it's like, I have to wait and wait and wait, and I get an idea, and I'll go like, nah, that's not it. And I'll get another idea, nah, that's not it. And I have to and that's where I have to stick with it and persevere, is to follow through on something I've been inspired to do. And that can take, for me, real perseverance. But eventually, I'll get a thought for the podcast and and it'll feel right. It'll have that a sense of alignment of mind, body, spirit that I'm looking for, and that joyful expansion of energy and joy. And and then okay, then that's the topic. And that's how I got, how to differentiate between uh, feeling I need to, push myself to plow through things or to just let things be and allow things to unfold as they will in an organic and natural way. And so I guess the answer to that is there's a time and a place for everything. and and but that is the more that we can make step one in our process, meditating and looking at the uplifting thoughts, because again, it's not like if you're thinking about time with family or time with work or time here. Time has nothing to do with it. It's the quality of the interaction. We can all think of instances in our life where somebody made just a very brief comment, but it changed our whole life. It impacted us. So it's not the amount of time that we spend on something, it's the amount of impact we have. Okay. So it's like, I mean, I still remember this guy. When I was in college and I wanted to take drugs and everyone was taking drugs and this guy was guiding people on acid trips and everything. And I said, I want to do that. And he looked at me and he shook his head and he said, Scott, it's not for you. And there was so much care and concern for me in his voice that it entirely changed my life. I've never had any desire to take drugs since I had that conversation. Not one, not ever. No. So, and that whole thing was less than a minute, right? So it's just like one example of many that where don't be thinking about balance in terms of time allocation. Think of balance in terms of value and upliftment, right? And so what we want to do is we want to act on our uplifting thoughts. We want to come from a peaceful, centered state. And that's going to give us the optimal life balance everywhere, right? Because optimal life balance essentially, what that's another way of saying is that what do I do to maximize the health and well-being for myself and everybody else? That's really what's kind of behind that life balance thing. What can I do to create the greatest value and benefit for myself and everybody else? And I can promise you that is it act on the thoughts that have emotions that you want more of, right? So if you have a thought of like, oh God, I could for my wife for her birthday one year, uh, I arranged, she loves roses. And so I took her out to dinner and I arranged for somebody to come in and just put rose petals throughout the house with candles and stuff. Oh, it was wonderful. But it was like, but the idea was such an uplifting idea, that it was like, this happened, I don't know, maybe even 20 years ago, maybe, I don't know, long time ago. And uh, but I still remember it was like yesterday, and it still lifts the idea stuff lifts me up. We still have pictures from that time on the wall, and it was like so it was like it was acting on a really uplifting and wonderful, exciting, fun, loving, caring thought. And and so uh, it's just another example. That's it didn't take a lot of time to put all that together. I had the thought. I contacted my friend who's a florist that knew us really well and and she resonated with the idea and was excited about the idea. So I told her, where the key to the house was and when we were going to be out to dinner and when we were going to be back so she could and then confirm that it was enough time to do what she needed to do and all of that. And so it was just awesome. So that's because examples of the most powerful form of leadership. I want to give you a couple of examples of times when, in a very, very short period of time, tremendous joy and value and was brought into the world in my life and impacted the people I know. So, so what I'm saying is that if you have to push yourself to listen to yourself and your thoughts and determine which of those thoughts are uplifting thoughts that deserve and are worthy of being acted on, if you have to push yourself to do that, do that. But at some point, it's going to become such a joyful, natural experience that you don't have to push yourself. So I've been meditating every day for over 40 years, right? And it's like, well, I wouldn't want to know what to do if I didn't meditate in the morning because it sets my entire day, right? And it's like, okay, well, I talk to people, they say, well, I can't get myself to do that and stuff. It's like, okay, A, maybe that's not for you, but B, maybe it's something, maybe it's a resistance that uh, you'd benefit from pushing through. I don't know. That's an answer only you can give. You can give. But I do know that for me, that trusting that the best things that can happen to me will happen and be facilitated by me taking the time to listen to myself and listen to the thoughts that are inspired and acting on the inspired thoughts. And that I know, and that if at times I have to push through resistance to follow through on acting on those thoughts, then I should push through then. Otherwise, just go back and meditate and listen for more inspired thoughts. So I offer thought coaching because we create our life with our thoughts. And you can book a free introductory session by contacting me at scottfriedman40@gmail.com, SCOTTFRIEDMAN40@gmail.com. And put coaching in the subject line. And we'll set that up. My books are available on Amazon. You can find links to them on my website, www.thoughtcoachingbyscott.com. All right. Be well.